a funny
That was
story when I was
fun.
at school, because we had to learn textiles. I don't know if it was just like because I was in a girls only school, or if it's just something they teach across the curriculum. Who knows? Maybe they thought, all girls school, you lot are going to be a bunch of housewives. Best learn how to sew some buttons and stitch some shirts. But the funniest thing is that someone in the class had an actual phobia of sewing machines.
Wow.
Which is, as someone who has a phobia, not a nice thing. Very much can, empathise with those people. But it was just so funny seeing her every time she had to go, because we used to do like stitching, and sewing with the hand and stuff like that. But eventually it'd come a time where she'd have to use a sewing machine.
Oh no.
And she used to be feeding it into the sewing machine from like 6 feet away, and just closing her eyes and turning around and just hitting the pedal and just being like so scared.
I've never heard of that before, but
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, having to live out
hilarious.
your fear on a weekly basis in school.
I mean, that's like, it's a weird phobia, but that's like
It is.
proper bravery, isn't it?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, fair play to her, she did it, but we all just used to wait until that day where it was like, oh, she's using the sewing machine today. let's point and laugh at her just sitting there in fear. But anyway.
What a lovely anecdote to open the show with. Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast, all about video games and beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Yeah, secondary school sucked. Yeah, for many reasons. But
True.
Yeah.
And we're joined by Aadil.
Hey, I've returned.
Hooray!
Hi. How are you? What have you been doing? What have you been up to?
I'm tired, and I've been teaching ethics of data science and logic in Durham, and it's been good, actually. Well, the teaching has been really good. The admin and getting used to a lot of unspoken, onboarding, not existing, the usual institutional garbage has been tough. Yeah. Such is life, right?
But you're, instilling your wisdom and knowledge upon other people, which we have lacked in the last several weeks.
Absolutely.
Me and Ben are just far more stupid. We've Ben's out there playing Marvel Snap. He's playing a Marvel Snap game, and he's just looking at the pretty cards and going, ooh. Because he can't understand card games anymore because we miss our Magic the Gathering expertise and knowledge.
That's it. It'd be interesting to know if you've, and I imagine you haven't had any time to put into Marvel Snap yet, but
I've played 12 matches.
Ooh, okay. I played 2
because I couldn't sleep yesterday.
All right, well let's open some beers. And we'll jump straight into Marvel Snap, because you are right, Lucy, that is all I've been playing again. Because I've got no time.
I decided to jump in the tutorial because I wanted to turn the chair around, sit down and say, hello, fellow kids.
Right.
What's Ben playing, try and understand him, get down to his level, understand why he's so troubled.
Yeah. I mean, it's great in the amount of time it takes to actually play a match, because when I'm putting Evelyn to bed, I can get in like 4 or 5 matches whilst she's sort of going to sleep and chilling out and stuff before I kind of leave her to go. But we'll get onto that a little bit more. Excuse me. I've opened a beer. It smells absolutely incredible. It's a stout. Of course it's a stout. It's stout season. But I have picked up, only released this week, the new Bristol Brewery and excuse me, Left-Handed Giant Salted Caramel Espresso Martini Stout. It is 7%, and it is the first of New Bristol Brewery's collaboration stouts leading up to Christmas. I think they're doing 7. They're going to be bringing one a week, I think. So yeah,
That's a turnover. Right.
it is absolutely. I think they've got who have they got? They've got like Fallen Acorn. They've got Wander Beyond.
Oh, that one
yeah,
might be interesting.
4 other breweries.
There's so many Wander Beyond beers I wanted to try, but they're just so darn expensive. You know, just a lot of like really interesting stouts. You know, quite high ABVs or just like weird adjuncts, but put into them just like the weird and wonderful things. But yeah, it's just so expensive. Can't justify it when it's something that is like so out there. You're not sure if you're gonna like it or not. It's like, do I take the gamble for that much money? Not sure. So yeah, if you get your hands on that one.
What are you drinking this evening, Lucy?
I'm drinking a brown beer from St. Mars of the Desert.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on this one for a bit because I wanted to have it on the podcast because I was like, ooh, this is a interesting style for them. But it's called a brown beer named Ubaldo. Not sure who Ubaldo is. It might be a very scruffy looking dog. It's probably a bit too hard to see on camera. It's 5%. It says, this is a dark brown beer named Ubaldo, in which malt shines through, temporarily allowing us to forget our modern day obsession with hops. Agreed. We do have an obsession with hops. A beer for relaxing with for a few minutes. Why is there a picture of a dog named Grimbold on here? Answer unknown.
Brilliant.
I mean, why not, eh? I mean, won't have, any hops listed there. Just barley, oats, and wheat. Yeah, so brown ale. Pretty much the season for it, like autumn.
Absolutely.
So.
Yep. We're definitely moving into these darker, heavier beers. But we'll come back to you in a second, Lucy. Aadil, what are you drinking?
So one of the nice things about moving to new town is getting to learn new bottle shops and new places. And there's actually a place called the Hop Knocker, which is a small little craft, mostly fridges, a few tables, and a few taps place. That's so I'm sure regular listeners know I struggled finding a place to live, and the place I happen to have found is a 3-minute walk away from one of the 2 places that serves craft beer. Well, 3 places.
Aren't you lucky, sir? Aren't you lucky?
And so this week I'm drinking from Wander. Their Ursa, which is their Imperial Campfire Porter. It's 10%, 440 ml.
Wander Beyond, is that, sir?
Wander
You must be on a nice new salary, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, affording your nice Wander Beyond beers.
Oh, I definitely bought this and another very expensive beer because I went there to check it out, like casually, and like maybe do some notes on this one of the courses I need to redesign for next year, and stayed until close instead of walking in at like 5:15, stayed till close, made new friends, and then it was like, oh yeah, my tab. Also, put these on.
Why not? No, you live in the best of lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so really
Only
excited
slightly jealous.
Campfire makes me tingle.
Good. Right, let's roll back around. This beer, I think I started off by saying it's got a big nose. It has a massive nose. There's a lot of sweetness on there. Tons and tons of sort of like sticky caramel on there. That's lovely. Very, very smooth. A lot of sweetness. Not getting a huge amount of the kind of coffee. Not getting any booze on the nose. I had a stout earlier. It was only 5%. And it was very, very carbonated. Very light in flavour. And this is the antithesis of that. This is luscious. It's luxurious. It's very, very velvety.
Okay.
It's got a tiny, tiny hint of carbonation. Only really, really slight. But
yeah, because when you showed me that beer before we recorded, I was like, oh, wasn't sure about that percentage.
Yeah. What was it?
That's
7?
Good to hear.
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
So
That's good to hear.
the sweetness the caramel notes that are on the nose, they do come through, but they're subdued a little bit, and they just sit quite nicely alongside this real roasted coffee note. Lovely amount of dark chocolate in there as well. A touch of kind of bitterness, sort of towards the end, and a kind of, I suppose, a hint from the sort of, I suppose, salted caramel nature of it. I don't know in the ingredients whether they have actually included, say, like salted caramel. Oh, they do. They have caramel essence in it. Caramel essence. It's got lactose in it as well. So I didn't read the flavour text. Salted caramel and coffee beans have been shaken, not stirred, to create the ultimate liquid indulgence. Smooth, creamy, and superbly decadent. It's got East Kent Golding hops in it, and I like the flavour text, which says taste, just heaven. That's all they put, which is fantastic. But this is lovely. It starts to sit a little heavier. Kind of, it dries out and you just feel a bit more of the coffee, a bit more of those bitter notes coming in. So whilst it's dry, it's not making me reach for it too much, which is great when it's such a full flavour that I don't have to rush through all of this taste going on. I imagine more is going to kind of unfold as I drink, but it's, yeah, that's just really good. There's a little bit of
good.
There you go. Maybe it's coming from the more espresso martini kind of end. There's almost a touch of it's not quite coconut, but it's something that's a bit more kind of creamy. I don't know what that is. I'll try and figure out. Lucy, St. Mars of the Desert.
Yeah, when you were talking originally about having a stout 5%, which is carbonated, you can smell just as soon as I poured it, it was just like, could smell the bubbles just tickling your nose. So it smells like it's got quite a bit of carbonation in there. Decent. It looks like Coca-Cola, to be honest. A little light bleed at the bottom. Yeah, smell wise, as I say, it's not a lot going on. Maybe a little bit of dark chocolate, but just very, very faint, if anything. What I will say, it hasn't got that like aspartame kind of taste that. Gosh, was it last week we recorded?
Yeah.
You did last week. You talked about an aspartame thing.
Yeah. The taste on this is much more. The finish on this is much rounder and smoother, where it has a little bit of that chocolate, I guess, a little bit of dark chocolate. So it isn't got that quite very carbonated kind of just Coca-Cola-esque finish, where it's like doesn't even represent, a beer almost. It's got a bit more of a, as I say, maltier, like smoother, rounder taste finish to it. So that's very welcome, to be honest. In terms of a brown beer, maybe I'd prefer it if it had a little bit more earthiness. I just poured it, and it's like, how am I going to get into that? But I'm glad it doesn't have those notes in it where it's just like, this tastes like Coca-Cola.
Fair.
Yeah, it's. I think that's quite nice, actually. It's light, but as I say, it still has that rounded finish where it's like you're not missing too much on the end. It doesn't feel like it's overly carbonated or overly hoppy. They said they're not relying on hops, and I think that's for the best because it has a much smoother finish. It's not it's not too bitter, but it's also not overly aspartame. It's got a nice light malt finish, and it's got those dark malt flavors to it. Not quite extending into like pure coffee or dark chocolate. Just a hint of, I'd say maybe just a hint of dark chocolate, but it's an enigma. In the sense that it's probably not. As I say, with the brown bit, I probably expect more maltiness, a bit more earthiness, and this doesn't have that.
Okay.
It's light, but not in the sense of, oh, we're going for that very portery kind of taste to it, and that finish that has like that kind of the beer that I had last week that just tasted like Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. Is it a backhanded compliment that I'm saying this doesn't taste like a beer that I don't like, so therefore it's good? Is that a backhanded compliment? I don't know, but
I think it might be a minimal compliment. I don't think it's
Yeah.
backhanded.
yeah, because so few beers that are all this percentage and then are going for a darker style like porter or something like that, they just don't, please me taste wise, and it's like this I could very much drink. I think it's the perfect like autumn drink. It's not too heavy. You could have it maybe a couple of hours before like that we're recording now, maybe about 6-7 o'clock, and have a few of these, maybe one or two, and not feel too heavy. And yeah, so I think it's nice in that sense. It's probably not what I want from a brown beer, but nevertheless it's not doing things that I don't like.
Right.
I think maybe if I was in a different mood, I'd probably like this more. So I don't know. It's one of those, but I'd say interesting, different, but different in the way that it's like, is it different because so many beers fail at this, or is it different because it's actually good? I can't distinguish at the moment
Okay.
because there's not enough brown beers at the moment. There's not enough brown ales.
That's true.
So maybe it's been a while since I've had one. I can't
That's
judge.
just neck and Nuki Brown, so you've got some frame of reference to.
Yeah, but it's not giving me a bad feeling.
Yeah,
So,
fair.
hey.
And a man who's probably only been drinking Nuki Brown since he headed up that way. Oh no, you've got Wonder Beyond, Aadil. How's the Wonder Beyond?
It's a good question. What I didn't tell you, which I think is worth saying, is that it's got malted barley, oats, lactose, hops, muscovado, sugars, cacao nibs, vanilla, maple syrup, and yeast. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, Wonder Beyond do chuck a lot in their beers, don't they?
But it also poured with like no head. It's got just a lovely velvety sweet nose. You get that alcohol sweetness. You get a sense of the thickness of the beer. That maple syrup and that vanilla are there, just sort of rounding things out. It's like, and yeah, the cacao nibs as well. Just there's a chocolatiness with a touch of coffee. But again, all that's working well together. It's like a nice just. You can pull those apart, but they're well blended. It's a really excellent nose. For an excellent beer. Couldn't even put it down. Oh.
I mean, we don't type or have to use our hands much for the episodes, do we? We can just sit and hold our beers just right here, so we can instantly just sub them. No minimal movement needed.
I'm wondering, because there's so little carbonation, if my can actually had a leak or something. Just because there's like nothing there.
Okay.
In a way that seems a little extreme.
Right.
It just tastes a bit flat. And that's the only complaint I have. It also like didn't crack the loud noise. But yeah, so it tastes remarkably close to the nose. You've got this again, this like really lovely chocolatey, slightly coffee maltiness, and then this like flair of sweetness, but there's just a variety of those sweetnesses. So it yeah, it just feels really has a lot of depth. That maple syrup and that vanilla are really doing small things exquisitely well. And a lot of that is hiding the 10%, which I just reread the can. I was like, right, this is 10%. And the lactose, obviously, and the muscovado sugars, like there's just that sweetness is so. It tastes sweet, and it's only when you like start to unpack it you realize, oh, it's because it's coming from a bunch of things. But again, they're so well balanced. I'm not sure why it was called. So I was wondering for a campfire porter. What I like about this is it's got a little depth and a little more heft than the average porter, because that's one of the reasons I veer towards stouts. But like 10% Imperial porter I can get behind. The campfire I think is more the idea of like snacks around a campfire. I was kind of wondering if there'd be like more of a burnt or a roasted character because it was called campfire, but now I'm realizing it's much more like s'mores.
A bit sweeter.
Even though it doesn't have that like marshmallowiness, thankfully. But like I think it's trying to trying to evoke that, like, you know, chocolate and maple syrup isn't often at the campfire, at least maybe in breakfast. Anyway, yeah. The it's really good, is what I'm trying to say. It's just a really good beer.
Good.
I'm going to enjoy it, even if it feels, I think, I like a touch flat. Everything else is great.
Perfect. Nice. An excellent place for us to launch into just talking about the games that we've been playing for the week. I think, as we said before we started our beers, let's just jump into Marvel Snap a little bit. And it'd be interesting, Aadil, to get your...
Let's not.
Yeah. Nah, fuck it. All right, let's not. Let's just get Aadil's take on Marvel Snap with the few games that he has played from it. I'll give no update at all.
I mean, I'd be curious about that to see if it's worth doing anything more. It was fine. It's a serviceable card game.
That's where I landed on. I've played the tutorial, and I was like, yeah, this is not just basic ass card game where we're just peddling these, you know, Marvel nostalgia to you. It seems like it actually has some interesting mechanics going on, but nothing that, you know, to the point where people may get so invested in like a Hearthstone kind of sphere or MTG or something like that. It just seems, as Aadil said, I think that's a perfect word, serviceable. Yeah.
I will say that's maybe a bit rough on it in that I've definitely played plainer, flatter, like strategy-wise card games. It does have more depth than I first grokked, because it's like, what if you played Snap with someone, but there were 3 places you could Snap, but also you could only play 4 cards in one place? That's the game, right?
Yeah.
But like, in the 12 odd games I played in a row and then haven't reopened it. This was last night though, so insomnia, it's a hell of a drug. What I noticed was, like, of the few cards you unlock, because you win enough games, you unlock a card or sometimes not a card. It clearly was like, oh, there's a go wide strategy where you have really cheap things that can get pumped by your more expensive things later, or something will make every unit get a +3 adjacently and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, so there are actually, like, it's not just like look at the draw and like pick a couple complementary cards and figure out what your 6-drop is. There's a little more depth potentially, which I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I appreciate this. And I built a second deck, and then never played it because, well, I played it once, but not right away, because I built a second deck and then I hit play, and that means I wasn't using the deck I just built, because the UI made it seem like you're in front of a deck. Now you can hit play anytime, but also what you need to do is go back to the other screen and then say, no, I want this deck, and then hit play. And that's just like disappointing because it's just like underthought UI.
Yeah, there's a few interface issues. There's an event going on, the Symbiote event, which you can either pick Team Carnage, or actually I don't think you pick. You're thrown into either Team Venom or Team Carnage, and you claim rewards. But there's nowhere in any of the menus which tells you how to access that event. There is no button for the event. You have to go into the news, find the news article about the event, which will then take you to the event for you to be able to claim all of the bits. It just seems like there's a couple of missed opportunities in a little bit more openness and maybe a little bit more sort of smoothness of play. Like say, Aadil having to, choose the decks in those kinds of ways rather than it kind of auto.
Or at least if I'm on a
you,
deck screen and I hit play.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I having played it more, I think that sense of strategy opens up more and more and more the more you play, because obviously the more cards you get, the more combinations that you can produce. I think I've got 3 decks at the moment. One is kind of just the first deck, which I've been refining and putting different cards in, swapping some out because they're a bit better than other ones and stuff. Pretty standard sort of deck, no theme to it. Second deck is an X-Men theme, so it's just all X-Men cards.
Oh, yes. Classic tribal.
Absolutely.
Not strategy, but tribal.
And unfortunately not strategy at all. And this is maybe one of the things that I've like the combinations of cards I'm finding are very random Marvel characters, right? So my third deck is all about moving and destroying cards, because if you destroy Wolverine, he appears in a random location. If you destroy Apocalypse, he comes back with +4 power. So if you move Multiple Man, he will generate another copy from where he existed. There are strategies, because there's lots of cards that will allow you to move other cards and things, and some of those are fun to try and play, just to sort of like just on the little strategy of kind of trying to outflank your opponent. Like, right, cool, they've got 3 points here, I've got none, but I know that I can move these 2 cards across. If I play Craven there and I move that card across, Craven gets a boost to his power as well. And suddenly I've gone from 0 up to like 12 power, and I'm completely destroying my opponent on that lane. So it does get kind of more strategic, and I think it becomes, or at least for me, has become more fun the more cards that I've opened or got. The only thing is the slow trickle of new cards. You kind of have to play a lot and upgrade cards to be able to go through this sort of leveling tier system, which unlocks cards for you. It's fine, but
it's weird. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, you're laudable that like the things you pay. So it seems like on first blush, okay, so it's not pay to win because the upgrading cards to other rarities, which is also a strange idea of it being rarer because it's mechanically unlocked. Is like doesn't change the card. You get if you have the card, it's the same. It doesn't matter. So that seems like, oh cool, not pay to win. Except to get in fact, what it is cards are rare. Like new cards are just rare, and the things they call rare don't matter.
Yep.
And the way you actually get the new cards is by grinding out upgrades that are cosmetic only. So actually, it's worse in a way because it's like an extra. The thing that you grind is useless.
Yep.
So every step until it hits a threshold that doesn't do anything, but also it's now 2 loops of thing to get a thing that will make you better. So because a lot of people were talking about how it's like, it's the economy is healthy. It's like, no, it's not. It's obviously not, because otherwise they wouldn't make it, because capitalism.
No, so what's monetized? I might have missed that though.
So there are currencies in the game to
Is
not you're not upgrading a card. You're just
green gems.
No,
Was
I
it
think
those that I saw? Or
there's
something?
boosters, which
Right.
are card specific. So if you've got Mr. Sinister, you get 5 Mr. Sinister boosters. You can put that to that. But then there's chips, which
There's
are
credits and
Right. I don't think I've come across that currency yet. Maybe in the
right.
because I think I only just played like I think it was a real world player or something in like a third match. I don't know. So I saw these gems and I thought, is this the? I was trying to figure out what's the hook? What monetary hook?
Yeah,
so to
yeah,
speak.
absolutely.
So maybe I haven't come across that.
Well,
yet.
there's gold bars as well. Gold bars will unlock. They won't unlock new. They do unlock new cards, but they're not new cards. They're variants of cards that you already have. So you get like pixel variants, just different artwork essentially for a character that you've already got a card of.
There's Hulk.
So there's Hulk,
and then there's
variant.
Cartoon Hulk.
Yeah.
And you unlock it, and it's the same card. You can't put 2 Hulks in your deck.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's
So
what gold
it's just aesthetic.
So it's just aesthetic, absolutely. But then there's chips, and the chips, or whatever they are called,
credits, I think. But
they unlock, credits, yeah. They look like little chips. They help you to upgrade what is classed as upgrade, but it's just a visual, it's just an aesthetic upgrade to the card. So you have your card, which is just basic. The next one is, I think, the character can break out of the frame. So essentially it zooms in and parts of it come out of the frame. Yep.
so ridiculous.
The next one is like 3D, so you can move the card slightly and the character is set off a little bit. Or there's layers to the character.
Nice. It looks really cool. Yeah.
And I think then
the thing is, in order to unlock new cards, the primary vector seems to be this like tree of when you do things, it slowly creeps up the tree, and at thresholds you get new cards.
Yeah, with every aesthetic upgrade, you might get one. If you just do that first upgrade, you get 1 point, and that takes you up 1 level on the tree.
Yeah.
The second upgrade gives you 2 points, so you move up 2. And I think every 2 steps you take on this tree, you get a new unlock, and that can again be chips. It can be boosters. It can be cards. I've hit a point now, it's quite good that every other unlock was a card. I've hit a point now where it's every 3. I don't know how far up that tree goes. It should be infinite, I imagine. There's probably some kind of hard limit to it.
I mean, that's why they have events, so that they can offer you you have to now grind this event specifically to unlock this card. It's rare, and then when it stops being as popular / they need a score, they add it to the regular tree, right? That's the thing. But the key here is to upgrade cards. You need the credits, and the credits are the thing that you get from playing wins.
Yes.
Or am I right? You get but then it gets upgrading takes larger and larger sums.
Yep.
So you can buy buckets of credits.
So then you can actually buy credits. You can buy gold. You can convert gold into credits. They're trying to funnel like what's the point of gold? Just make it all credits, right?
I mean, the point of gold is that you want the user to not have a grip on.
Yeah, and that's what frustrates me about these games. It's like just make it. Right? They even though it doesn't seem insidious, this game, it seems like they've made a very serviceable card game first and foremost, and just buried some monetary systems behind it, and it's not even at the forefront. It's just that kind of, it's so layered to a point where it's like I just don't even want to engage with it, because I know even if it's like 10 layers deep, I know that the end goal is to get money out of you, and it's just like I don't even want to get to 1 layer deep, because it's just because it's that kind of confusion and overcomplicating things, and it's like I want to engage with a game on its terms, all of its terms, because that's what games are. Like even that if you don't like some mechanics in it, it's like the game goes out of its way so you engage with all of it. And that's that people work on games that they don't have whole entire teams for people just to ignore it, even though they say like, oh yeah, you can ignore this and ignore that. It's like it's still part of the game.
Absolutely.
If it's not interesting, then that's a flaw of the game. Like, for example, like God of War, I didn't care about any of the RPG stuff because I think it's flawed. It doesn't mean that it's not a part of the game, and that's not what the creators intended. This, whether the creators intended it or the money guys intended it, it's still part of the game. It's like, if that is the end goal, it's like, I don't want to engage with it, no matter how far deep down the rabbit hole it is. It's like, if that is what you're eventually leading me to, it's just no. Why?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not to say like you, Ben, or anything like anyone else can't engage on a less deep level.
On the most basic of levels, yes.
yeah. On the surface level, it's like I like these. I like the basic mechanics. I like the aesthetics of the game is really good. Like the music's good. The just those little tidbits of VA where it's like, oh yeah, Tony Stark's rolled in on his treadmill or whatever. It's like it's a really well made game, but I just always think, okay, what's the end goal here? And the end goal is to get money out of me, and I just don't want to even engage even surface level. So
just to finish out, I think if I can find the article, where's it gone? I was just looking at a Kotaku article about the game on bots, basically. Like, how many of these are actually real players versus how many are like bots, sort of thing.
Because the first level out of the tutorial, I wasn't sure. I mean, it wasn't like Dickmaster69, so the username of that. So I was like, it has to be a bot.
Another newbie.
But then the nickname was Freds. So I'm like,
So
is this really a person, or is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of them.
It was Dickmaster69. I was like, okay,
yeah, absolutely. I can't find the actual article. There's a ton of articles on Kotaku about Marvel Snap. One posted 6 hours ago. 20 tips I wish I knew before playing. 4 hours ago, Marvel Snap players have bot paranoia. 1 day ago, Marvel Snap ignored a card game staple and it worked. 4 hours ago, there's an article. Another 3 days ago, there's an article. A week ago, there's an article. One of the articles was about how much money it has made within the first week. And it is reasonable. I can't find it now. Maybe it wasn't Kotaku and I'm looking for the wrong site. But basically, the US is the biggest market for it at the moment.
I mean,
that makes sense.
I think it was then followed by like Canada, then Brazil. The UK wasn't.
That's a Wolverine fan. So
the UK wasn't in the top 5. I don't think for users or for current.
British Marvel characters.
Sorry,
Dr. Xavier. Who are the British Marvel characters?
Britain and Excalibur.
There's actually a Captain Britain.
There is.
You know it.
He sounds awful. He sounds like a colonizing bastard. Get rid of him.
What's her name? Peggy Carter. Who was then Captain Britain, but a different Captain Britain. Not the Captain Britain that was a bloke, but the new what if Captain Britain, Captain America wasn't Captain Britain. I found an article. It wasn't the one I was looking at, but it is from Game Industry Biz. Basically, Marvel Snap has made more than $2 million in its first week.
That seems modest. That's alright.
Actually, not big. I think
Apple from the Apple Store, it's made 1.3, and from Android, only 737,000. But I think,
considering I see a lot of adverts for it, and seeing a lot. Yeah, I mean, I guess games need to make money. At the end of the day, nothing gets made in a vacuum.
But interesting
charitable needs.
I think it's interesting in the countries where it's done really well. So the US topped player downloads at 1.3 million. So it's been downloaded 5.3 million times in total. The US was 1.3 million. The second is Brazil. I read, so the other article said Canada, but at the moment the second was Brazil at 433. Then Italy, then Indonesia, and then Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, East Asia, a lot of free-to-play games do well there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And South America, games are expensive down there, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think it has more depth than it seems. But also, I like that the 3 spots have special ability that you don't know, a random sort of thing, which I think. So one of the reasons why I think Magic the Gathering has survived a lot longer than other card games, and why like Hearthstone was huge because of like Blizzard IP and stuff, but it's like no one talks about now, is the variants that people complain about, like being mana screwed or only drawing mana, like having that random thing affect your ability to do simple things in the game actually is why it gives you enough different types of games, even if you hate one of those types, right? And I think that randomness is intriguing enough now, and there's so much. Even if they got stuck on mechanics that they could implement, they could still like do a lot in that space to like make intriguing gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me double check that I have Inscription downloaded on my Steam Deck, so.
I didn't think about Inscription on my Steam Deck.
Inscription, fucking hell.
I love that game.
What a good game. Let's move on from Marvel Snap. Lucy, we will come to you. Is there anything else that you've been putting your time into this week? Is that a no?
Where are we? What year
is it?
I played A Case of the Golden Idol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you briefly mentioned that last episode.
Yeah. Closest thing to a sequel to Return of the Obra Dinn, I guess. Where it is just a very much a cryptic not crossword. Like what are those puzzle games? Not quite a word search. Logic puzzle, sorry. My brain left me for a second. Just like a cryptic logic puzzle game. That Obra Dinn was a whodunit kind of Cluedo-esque game. It's very much. I think it takes a lot of inspiration from Return of the Obra Dinn, except it's not 3D. It's portrayed in these very 2D vignettes, where everything is like kind of freeze frame. Point of death, sort of like in Return of the Obra Dinn. Which, Aadil, you still haven't played, have you?
No.
My heart.
Yeah, I know.
My soul.
It's on my Steam Deck, and I think given the fact that we can't be on the bed,
I think that's a perfect game.
I need to be home for the weekend so that he doesn't feel stressed and abandoned and scared or whatever it causes them to pee on my bed.
Play that.
Yeah, that's my plan. My plan was to just like sit back and like not do work, not do research, even though I'm behind on research, and that is what I need to do to get the job after this one. But just like fucking be a potato.
Yeah, just take
I think that's a good potato game.
Because I was like, I'll just play games, but it was like play games in the like category of thing versus.
Well, I think that's a good game too, even when you're not feeling like it and you got a lot of things going on. I think that's something that can just absolutely just take your mind off things, like just be completely transfixed on one particular thing.
I'm not looking to not focus. I'm focusing just on a focus thing.
Yeah. But that's what A Case of the Golden Idol is as well. It's like, I think I played it in like, was it one sitting?
Wow.
I just played it like all day. Like, was it Sunday or something? I can't remember. But yeah, I think it was pretty much, just No, it was 2. I played it over 2 days. I went to sleep on, but yeah, just pretty much, 2 blocks. But yeah, it's the closest thing we'll get to another Return of the Obra Dinn, which I just want more of. It's like, why can't every single developer make these games? It's like
just this one game forever.
Yeah,
just different interpretations of.
I don't need a Call of Duty.
Yep.
Just make one of these.
That's fair.
But yeah, it has a really interesting kind of through line, a kind of story. Because Return of the Obra Dinn had it was one long continuation of deaths on the ship, so it had that continuation of the story. And this is the same. It's told over several vignettes. I think it's about 11. But yeah, it's just people dying in interesting and sometimes gruesome ways, and figuring out how it happened as this like kind of freeze frame camera still of like the point of death of these people, and it's like, okay, you so it's portrayed in like a 2D kind of point and click perspective, and you look around a scene, and there is an option where you can get things highlighted in the scenes straight off the bat. As soon as you open the game, it's like, would you like us to highlight everything or would you not? And I was like, please don't. I'd prefer to pixel hunt, and at any time you can switch that back and it can highlight things in the environment if you ever get stuck, which I did once or twice, where it's like, where are the things that I need to be clicking on? But you can just turn that on and off willy-nilly, which is nice. But as you click in the environment, you basically pick up like adjectives, verbs. It's like, and then you've got an exploring kind of menu where it's like you're looking around the scene, and then you've got a deduction kind of menu, which basically portrays everything in like written form. So you're basically filling in what happened. It automatically fills in like basically the structure. You're basically filling out a sentence, and you're having to put in like the right verbs and right adjectives and who did it and where it happened and stuff like that. So you're basically building up a picture. And like Obra Dinn, it tells you, okay, you have almost everything right. You might have to switch a few things around, but usually you can deduce basically what happened, probably for about 90% of the things. There was only once or a couple of times where I had to like switch some things around, just be like, what's it called? Just when you have only there's a couple of things left. Deduction. What's that saying?
I don't know.
Deduction.
No idea, mate.
Brain's gone blank. Don't know what's right. I'm just old. But like power of deduction, it's like most of the things you can figure out by logic. Only a few things power of deduction, So yeah, and as I say, it tells a really engaging story between vignettes. I think it's set over like 80 years, the whole story.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just a really smart puzzle game where it's like you feel like you feel like a genius when you figure things out, even though it's like a good puzzle game is tailored to make you feel like a genius, and it's like everything is pretty much not simple, but it's portrayed in a way where it's like you're not going to get stuck, and you can reasonably figure things out, and you don't have to be. You're not like, oh, I need to look up a walkthrough, because it's just like with enough thought and enough deducing, it's like, yeah.
You can just spend another couple of minutes and you'll probably get there, sort of thing.
Exactly. When I was stuck one time, it was just like, okay, I'll go to bed. Woke up and it's like, oh, okay. And
Logic,
the art style's weird. It's made by like I think they're a Latvian team of like only a couple of people, like 2 or 3 or something like that. Never heard of the devs before, and it's just cool. That they've just like their first outing just knocked it out of the park, really.
What are they called, like Popus Luke or something? Just
Amazing.
Probably. I can't remember the name of the dev, but I think it was Color 7 or something, Color Grey 7 or something. But yeah, they're out of Latvia.
Great
it's
game.
Like, yeah, out of Latvia. It's like, okay.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a really good game if you need another Obra Dinn in your life, which everyone does.
We have a review code for it, which I'd requested for you, but came a little bit late.
Play it then.
Well, what I was going to say is, should Aadil go to Obra Dinn, or do you think jumping on the case of the Golden Idol would be a better shout, and then playing Obra Dinn, perhaps? You know, is there potentially a kind of, are you going to get more from Obra Dinn by playing something similar and going into it, or is it best to just go in, kind of as you and I went in, kind of go in blind, not having played something similar to it sort of first?
I think you can go in either. I think me saying that it's an Obra Dinn like is probably a bit of a disservice to the game. It completely stands on its own merits. It's a very good. I mean, prior to Obra Dinn, there were, like, you know, Sherlock Holmes games and whodunit games and mystery games. So I just think Obra Dinn is probably the shining example of it, and did something a bit different with its mechanics. But yeah, I think you can absolutely play this, you know, without any prior knowledge or bias. Yeah.
I would probably prefer to play this one, because although Lucy's
It's short
about it, not nearly as much. And if I was going to do one than the other, I know from the way you've spoken about Obra Dinn that it would be a step down to go to this game, just because of the effusiveness you've portrayed about both. So I'd rather step up.
Yeah,
and it's this is, with all due respect, it's a very good game as well. It's like, I think Obra Dinn is, as I said, it stood out because it was one of a kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could play either before, but I think this, in the case of that, it's a bit shorter. There's a bit less going on mechanically in terms of the rewind function and the 3D. I think you could absolutely play this before and be absolutely happy with it. And it's one of those where it's just like, as I said, played it in two settings. It just completely, I was enraptured, you know. So yeah,
nice, good.
But yeah, I think that's all I've played. Silent Hill 2, but no one needs to hear about that 20-year-old game. Yeah. If anyone's looking to play it, because I had downloaded it probably a couple of years ago, and to wipe my computer, and I was just like, well, bye to everything. And I've been wanting to play it, you know, actually get through it all. Again. The servers for the enhanced edition, I just completely rammed after the remake announcement, because I looked online and I looked on Reddit. I was like, why is it downloaded at like 10 kilobytes per second? And it was like, oh, the servers around. I was like, oh, okay. But someone literally just put in a nice little package, the enhanced edition. Like, it's like maybe 1 or 2 updates ago, but still pretty good. It's just there for you, packaged there. Go download that. Go download it. Just look on Reddit. Just Google that and download that. So I've been playing that, and yeah, I mean, it's good to be back in that world. I love Silent Hill 2.
It's a great game.
It is a great game. It's just it's very bad though. You know, like to play it, like I couldn't imagine, like, you know, we play games with tank controls, and it's like even I'm struggling a little bit, and I'm just fine with tank controls. Like, and it's the voice acting is just like it'll never get better. It just gets worse over time. But
it is absolutely
it's such a good game.
It is a product of its time, you know. That's like kind of the original Resident Evil is as well, sort of, you know, with those controls and stuff. And you can understand why companies want to kind of return to those games and say, let's modernize it just a little bit, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, because it is proper awful, but in terms of playing it and listening to that voice acting, but the atmosphere and I still jump. It's like I know what's happening. I know what's going to happen. For like, I think I'm at the point where it's like, oh, I don't actually remember what happens beyond here, but it's been that long. But I don't know how much creative license they put into the enhanced edition in terms of like the audio, but I don't think they really have. They probably just ratcheted it up a bit, but
yeah,
the sound design is probably still one of the best in video games to this day. It's just insane. But Road Warden I've played, but I want to get more into that. I want to get deeper into that because it's an RPG. Not too dense, but it's very much a narrative RPG. But I think to actually play if it's very light mechanics and stuff like that, I probably have to get more into it. So I'll probably speak about that next week.
That's fair. I think similarly, I started V Rising, which was that vampire game that came out a few months ago that loads of people jumped on when it released. It was
free this past weekend, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Oh, I bought it when it released and have just never touched it. I've put in about an hour into it, so I think I'll chat about that next week as well. Okay. But you the other day saying about Silent Hill 2, it instantly made me chuck the disc back in for Resi 8. Because I never finished it.
Okay.
And there's some DLC coming out for it, and I thought I really enjoyed Resi 8.
Vampire lady, don't you? You sicko.
Exactly. I really enjoyed Resi 8. I only took it out of the PlayStation because last Christmas I got Just Dance for the ladies, and that's basically been the only disc that's been in the PlayStation for the entire year.
Lady D mod for Just Dance. How about we do that and everyone's happy? Why don't we do that?
I'd be mad, but I imagine there's lots of Lady Dimitrescu Just Dance CGI videos. It's probably not Just Dance, but
I mean, there is the cameras on the ground.
Yeah.
It steps on the camera.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. But yeah, I mean, I got up to the factory, which I think is the last boss, or the last out of the 4 kind of that you're presented with. This is probably a final boss on that. But I really need to get back to that. I need a good kind of scare. But all my eggs have been in the Callisto Protocol kind of basket of waiting for that to come out in December for it to be kind of like Dead Space horror scares.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I might jump back into Resi 8, I think.
Yeah, I'm not into my horror games, but definitely feeling in that kind of season this year, where it's like I'm playing Silent Hill. Tried to play go back to the first Resident Evil because I never finished that, the remake that is. Yep. But I think I've started playing it when I'd like food poisoning. I was just like, no, this is not the one for now.
Brilliant.
So, definitely want to get back to that. So yeah, it is the season.
It is, absolutely. Good, that's a good point for us to finish for this week. Let's jump back onto our beers. I haven't finished mine. It's sat kind of, what have we been? Been about an hour? Yeah, about an hour. Opened it maybe 5 minutes in, so it's almost done, but it's so smooth. The flavour is maintained throughout the beer. That nose is still just as luscious as it was when the can cracked. Maybe a slight kind of loss on it, but I mean, we've lost Aadil as well. He seems to have turned into some pixels and lines.
It's a Silent Hill too.
That's it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Lucy. I would. This beer is fantastic. Everyone should pick up the salted caramel espresso martini stout from New Bristol Brewery and Left Handed Giant. If you love big,
I might think I know what you're talking about. I want to like whisper it to Aadil to see if you're saying Lucy. Is it about a game that's coming out on Game Pass?
No. Well, I don't know whether it's coming out on Game Pass. It's a game that I've seen today today, I think, that you have wishlisted on Steam called Faith, which
okay.
looks.
Okay.
Is it called Faith?
Yeah, it's Faith.
The
8-bit
pixel
kind of.
Oh mate, that animation looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
It
because
looks so, and the sound design in that is so fucking creepy.
it's apparently the third game in like the series, and I've had it on my wish list before. Apparently, this latest one packages the past
All
two
of them,
games.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean,
Oh wow, this animation is really cool.
there's so many horror. I mean, tis the season. There's so many horror games that like that Signalis came out today on Game Pass, which is basically Resident Evil, Silent Hill kind of PS1 kind of aesthetic, and that. What I thought you were going to say, Ben, is that Somerville game from the Inside.
Oh yeah. Oh, is that soon? Ooh.
I literally, before I came on here, I was just looking at the news. And it was just like, ooh, that's coming out 15th of November on Game Pass.
Oh wow, is it? Nice.
Okay, I know what I'm doing that day. Because even if it's as hot, well, a third, in fact, a tenth as good as Inside, I just thought,
right.
all right, I'm all in. It's the game of the year already. So,
Nice.
Yeah, so I hate video games. It's too many.
Oh, absolutely. And there's no time. No time. There is time to talk and finish talking about our beers, Lucy.
I'm not even working, and there's still no time. There's no, like Silent Hill is taking me like, I swear I've been playing it for 10 hours, walking in a circle because of the tank controls. It's like there's no time.
Brilliant. How was your beer, Lucy?
Yeah, it was good. I'm still drinking it, like you, but I think it's good. In fact, I don't think it's good. I know it's good. As I say, it's as I said last week. It's probably just not my style, but I like brown beers. I like them, and I think maybe because it's the fact that we don't get many at all these days, where I'm a bit torn because I can't tell if it's good or not because I haven't had one of these in ages.
Yeah,
but it has a nice round, smooth finish. It's got enough malt and like dark malts in it, and slight bit of chocolate. It's not offensive in the terms of like it hasn't got that very Coca-Cola, very carbonated aspartame kind of finish to it. It's good. It's good. I mean, I like St. Martin's Desert, so maybe mileage may vary, but whatever you pick up from them, it's usually going to be good. So maybe I'm just being overly harsh on it today, because I've had some quite nice Oktoberfest beers, like lovely. German beers today. So like Paulaner and
again, tis the season. I mean, it's the season for beers.
Tis, but yeah, I think it's a good beer. It's a good beer. So,
nice, good. And Aadil, I see you were kind of supping away still.
Yeah.
On yours.
I mean, it's one of those beers where it doesn't necessarily have a long finish, although it's not a short one. But it's really satisfying, and it doesn't. It has a nice complete taste curve, so you can kind of just like be, that was good, and then, I guess I could have another sip. But now I've been talking about this thing, and it's fine. It's sitting there. It's not that I'm bored with it. It's just like the sips are very like self-contained, so good. What has happened though is the sweetnesses, the depth of the sweetness has given way to the cacao nibs are coming out a little more now that I've gotten used to the sweetness, and so it's just a bit more of a rounder taste. After a bit, it's very excellent. Fully recommend.
Perfect. Good.
Oh, yeah, it sounded like you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So
I'm just not, I'm not up in Durham, so I don't have easy access to them. Just simply cannot afford it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm definitely moved to a place with more craft beer.
Yeah, all the shipping charges to get it slightly further south, isn't it? On the Wander Beyond. Brilliant. Thank you for joining us this evening, everybody. Listener, viewer, streamer friend. You can join us every week here on the Out of Lives Twitch channel. You can get us at Out of Lives on YouTube or outoflives.net as well. We are Tanked Up. We're at Tanked Up Cast on all of the socials. I'm at Nova_47. Lucy is
Juicy Loose 9.
And Aadil is
At the Omniarch.
if anyone has any spoopy games they want to recommend, do so. Get in touch with us. Let us know what you're playing, what beers you're drinking as well, or drop one of us a line for the link to our Discord, and come and join us each and every day just to chat about beers, games, movies, TV shows, Marvel Snap, all these sorts of lovely things that make life joyous and
Yes, we
stop
need
us
joyous
thinking
things.
about the Tories.
Oh, God.
Thank you for joining us. We've been Tanked Up. Goodbye.
Bye. To end on a bomb note, don't you?
Go.
Yeah. Apparently, Aadil resigned from the podcast and he was back 6 days later. So.
Well done.
www.outoflives.net